The following program is brought to you by TZ Productions, offering 40 years of media experience.
The Alvin and Rosalie Sarachek Trust, supporting arts, history, science, and this program on KPTS.
You won't find another show like this one on Kansas television. We reveal the person behind the persona in a half-hour up-close and personal discussion. This week, a well-known Kansan who knows his way around a broadcast studio as well as a combine. For decades, Larry Steckline has been the face and voice of Kansas agriculture on both television and radio. Steckline has carved a niche as a farm broadcaster who not only talks the talk, but walks the walk. That's because he not only talks agriculture, but he lives it as a longtime farmer and rancher in his own right. But that's only part of his story. He's also an entrepreneur, pilot, and world traveler. Even his 350-page biography couldn't cover it all. But our job this week is to go beyond just the accomplishments and get to know the man himself. It's Larry Steckline, this week, One-on-One. Hello and welcome to One-on-One. I'm Victor Hogstrom, and I'm delighted to have the legendary farm broadcaster Larry Steckline with us. One-on-One. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for asking, Victor. It's nice to be here, back on television. I haven't been there for a while.
Oh, well, you should feel at home, won't you?
Yeah, kind of.
Yes.
I've been there a long time.
So, you were on television. You had a radio station. But my curiosity wants to know, was it from farming to the airwaves or from the airwaves to farming?
Oh, it was farming to accidentally airways.
Oh, accidentally. Okay.
Yes.
Tell us that story.
Had no plans to do that, Victor. In my lifetime, never even thought it would be possible for an old farm kid from northwest Kansas to be a television personality of any kind. In fact, I can remember the first TV we bought. It was a small black and white, and we could only get one station at that time, and it was pretty snowy. And so I always, as I was growing up, thought that that was something for somebody else much higher up the ladder than I was. But as things turned out in life, they don't always go as planned. And thankfully, it didn't go as planned for me. I was going to be an accountant.
Oh.
But my mom and dad moved to the farm back when I was in the fourth grade. And so really I was brought up on a farm all my life. And that was good news for me in my background because it made my future.
And you followed your father's footsteps.
And in many respects is right. The only thing that he did was farm. And when I left after graduating from high school in Waukene, Kansas, I came to Wichita because Wichita Business College guaranteed me enough income to pay for my college tuition. We had a little problem back then, Victor, called money. My family just made it from year to year with a little bit of a wheat crop and a few cattle. And so consequently, I had to have some help somewhere. And so they guaranteed me a job to pay my way through college, and that was the start of things. Ended up getting a job at the Wichita Stockyards and spending 15 or 16 years there with some of the finest people I ever met in my life. They moved me up the ladder, and that's how I got into television, if you ever want to know that story.
Tell us about that. How did you get into television?
Well, I was going to be an accountant, as I said. 2 years business administration at the Wichita Business College, and then I was going to finish up at Wichita State and be a CPA. Well, my first job at that they got me at the business college, and you'll find it in this book that we have, an interesting story. They got me a job sacking potatoes at a warehouse, and my mom didn't like that, so she called the college, and they got me a job bookkeeper at the stockyards, and that was $1 an hour, 4 hours a day, and that went on to where I became a public relations director, but only I didn't have a graduate degree from Kansas State University, and they never hired anybody in that position prior to that, so they were giving me a test. And Victor, about 3 months into it, there was a note on my door when I came to work in the morning, please see the president of the Stockyards Company immediately. And I thought, well, that's going to be all the Stockyards deal. But lo and behold, he called me in and he said there was a guy that was doing their market report on Channel 12, quit Friday. This was on a Monday morning. And it was the best advertising, free advertising that the Stockyards had ever gotten. And they did not want to lose that. I said, Mr. Smith, it was Conley Smith, by the way. Mr. Smith, I can understand that. We need to get somebody to do that. He said, we've got him. I said, oh, good. I said, who is it? He said, you'll be out there at noon today. And that started my television career.
And you enjoyed it ever since?
No.
No?
Oh, I was hoping I'd have a wreck going out there. I'm telling you right now, I had sweat in places I didn't even know existed. Victor, I was so scared I can't even describe it to you for at least 6 months. And then it got better. As farmers started calling me and telling me how they liked what I was doing and they wanted me to do this and wanted me to do that. And I could see I was accomplishing something, and well, it turned into a career.
And you loved it so well that you purchased your own radio station.
Yes. Well, the TV started, and about a year into that television program, here comes a guy by the name of Max Sanders, who a lot of our people listening will probably remember that name. And he wanted me to do on his radio station what I was doing on television, which was an agribusiness report. And I said, sure, if you'll pay the same kind of money that KTVH was paying me, $5 a show, I'll do that, because it's good free publicity for the stockyards.
Right.
That started radio.
So meanwhile, what happened to the farming?
Oh, in 1974, I moved to the farm, primarily because of my children, and raising them in a small community appealed to me a lot more than anything else. Garden Plain, Kansas is where I moved to, or just a couple of miles from there. And needless to say, if you're talking about a subject, whether it be radio, television, or just with you, if you do what you're talking about, it makes a lot more sense and a lot more appealing. And so I decided that if I was going to be doing some broadcasting about agriculture, maybe I ought to be doing it. Started it in 1974 on a small scale and went to a bigger scale as I am today.
So you were walking the walk and talking the talk.
And it works.
And it works.
Yes. Farmers, thank you, farmers, for everything you've done for me.
Tell us about those early years and your wife, Walita.
This is my first wife. We were married almost 40 years when she tragically died of the tractor accident on the farm. She was driving a tractor on the road and evidently lost some control. We don't know exactly what happened. But anyway, she was right beside me all the way for 40 years. And we had 3 children. The oldest, Greg Steckline, who's in the radio business in Wichita, Garden City, and Guyman, Oklahoma. Anita Cochran, who I'll bet some people out there viewing this program know. She spent 26 years at KSN. And then my youngest daughter is married a farm kid from Pretty Prairie, Kansas, Doug Wee. Shasta and her have 5 kids, and I got to tell you, they love farming.
Farming runs in the blood.
Yeah.
And broadcasting.
4 kids, by the way, not 5. I miscounted one.
Oh.
That's not good. That's not good.
So tragedy struck when Walita got killed.
Correct.
What happened after that?
Well, there's a good part of it I don't remember, because that's an earth-shaking event. But the end result, in a couple of years, was set up with a blind date by a good friend of mine that was on the Kansas State Fair Board with me, and I was on that board. And it happened to be the Attorney General of the state of Kansas, Carla Stovall. We had dinner one night with them, and a year later we got married.
And you have
Happily ever after.
And her name is
Carla.
Carla. Carla wrote your biography.
Yes.
And it's titled Larry Steckline, A Half Century as the Voice of Kansas Agriculture.
Correct. This started out, interesting enough, Victor, as just well, as she would state it, as we were talking with our kids, let alone our grandkids, about things that happened in my past, there was a lot of things they didn't know. So she's an excellent writer, as you can tell by reading this book. She decided that she was going to write memoirs for the kids and primarily the grandkids who probably wouldn't know anything of what happened, such as I just told you about. Well, it got to be quite a book, a lot more than I thought it was going to be. But in any event, after it was done, this thing went on steroids. A few people that got it started saying some awful nice things about it, and pretty soon we thought, gosh, if it's going to be that good, let's try to get some good out of it. So we decided that we would print a bunch of them and sell them in cooperation with somebody that needed the money, like Kansas FFA, Future Farmers of America. And so that's what we did. We printed a bunch of them, and we married with the FFA, and they helped sell, and we sold the books for $20, and $20 went to the FFA.
So you tell me you have a favorite passage in this book. I would like for you to share it with our audience.
All right. Well,
you can borrow my copy now.
Thank you. I forgot mine.
Here you go. We have it pre-marked, and there you have it.
I guess it would all start, and why this is my favorite is because if it wasn't for this, I would have no idea, Victor, where I would have gone, what I would have been. Maybe a ditch digger. I know one thing, I'd have worked day and night to make a few bucks. But when we were trying to figure out, my mom definitely wanted me to go to college. My dad wanted me to stay home and farm with him. An entire 160 acres of farm ground and 100 acres of pasture. And you can imagine what kind of a salary that would have made for both of us.
Right.
In any event, a solution presented itself when a salesman from the Wichita Business College telephoned Irene, my mom, to discuss the possibility of Larry's enrollment. Irene scheduled the salesman's visit when she was certain Carl would be in the field because he was not too happy about it. I added that. Irene did not intend to let Carl's opposition forestall her plans. She just needed time to figure things out. The salesman eagerly made his presentation to Larry and Irene. He talked of the many graduates of the well-established college and the lucrative bookkeeping career that Larry could expect to have after graduation. For as long as possible, he avoided saying that each year of the 2-year course would cost more than $1,000. He had spotted the outhouse, so he pulled up to the farm and accurately surmised that tuition was a pricely sum to this family. But we had a nice outhouse, I just want you to know that. Irene wanted to remain outwardly confident, and so when she found out basically that they would have a job for me to pay the $2,000 a year, they didn't have to come up with any money. We even talked my dad into it.
Wow. So throughout life and as a broadcaster and a farmer, what has been your message that you wished to portray or communicate to the public?
Well, it says here I'm the farmer's friend, and I am, or at least I sure want to be. Now, that doesn't mean I made everybody happy in my broadcast, because I know I had some that disagreed with me, because that was pretty straightforward. An old country boy doesn't know how to beat around the bush very much, and quite honestly, the 90% of a farmer's bottom line can be affected by what happens in Washington. And I spent a lot of time with the people in Washington and understanding why they were either on target or off target on various things like a farm bill, farmers insurance, all kinds of things of that nature. I spent all kinds of times with our secretaries of agriculture, our United States, and I traveled with them to foreign countries to learn how we could better sell our products to them. And so consequently, I just enjoy telling the farmer something that he isn't going to hear anyplace else that makes a difference in his profit and loss statement.
And what do you tell them?
What's going on in Washington that could affect them, and they need to get on the telephone now, the computer, and tell them what's going on that is not good for them or that is good for them, and have our congressmen and senators push that, because very few people back there really, really understand agribusiness.
So you serve as a semi-lobbyist representing the farmers of Kansas.
I've never been tagged with that, but you know what? You're kind of right. You're kind of right.
I know you have a daughter in broadcasting.
She was.
And you've sold off the radio stations.
Correct.
What is a typical day like for you today?
When I live part-time in Kansas, part-time in Oklahoma, part-time in Naples, Florida.
Oh.
And so depending upon where I'm at, needless to say, at my age I've tried to cut back quite a little bit on some of the things I did in the past. I still do 2 radio shows a day. I farm 2,000 acres. I have a farm manager that helps me a bunch with that, though. However, I still am on the combine and on the tractor when I need to be or want to be. And my day pretty much centers around now what I want to do. And what I want to do still is work a little. I love to work.
What do you enjoy doing?
I enjoy broadcasting. I really do. Farming, I enjoy up to a point. Because my back won't take 12, 14 hours on the tractor like it used to, so I like about 4. But I like broadcasting. And
what about it do you like?
Talking to those folks out there. If they'll listen to me, it's kind of fun.
Describe for us your proudest accomplishment through life.
Being a friend of those farmers. No, there isn't any doubt. There's nothing. Very few things would come in second or third. I've had so many wonderful experiences because of what farmers have either said, done, or worked with me on. And boy, I tell you what, to have that kind of result from just talking on the air makes you feel pretty good.
What about regrets? Any at all?
Very few. Victor, I couldn't sit here today and tell you what about a regret. Sure, there's a time or two, but I've said many times that if I had the chance to go around again, the man upstairs was good enough and said, hey, you're going to try it again. What do you want to do? I'd pick the same thing.
Is there anything that you would like to change about your life looking back at it?
No, sir.
Anything you'd like to accomplish in life that you have not yet achieved?
No, sir.
So you're
I feel pretty good.
Not too many people can say that. How did you achieve that status? What did you do that was so different?
Well, first of all, a lot of people said I was lucky. Luck is a 4-letter word that I spelled W-O-R-K. And I did spend a lot of hours, Victor, working. And if I hadn't liked the job, I would never have done it for 45 or 50 years. But I liked it so much, it was almost like having fun. And so consequently, I wouldn't change a thing.
So what can we expect from you in the future?
You know, I'm still going to be around on broadcasting.
Doing what?
Oh, agribusiness reports.
Okay.
Because in this part of the country, we have very few people that understand what Washington's all about compared to agribusiness. And they're not putting the heat on some of those people back there that need to have it. They're not thanking them when the times when they need to. And so I'm going to keep some broadcast ideas in my mind. How much of it, yet to be determined. I'm already on radio, 107.9 every day, twice a day. And it's primarily agribusiness out of Washington, what they're doing to us or with us. And so I want to maybe enhance that a little bit.
So you've mentioned Washington several times. What, in your opinion, is Washington all about, and what is Washington doing to the farmers?
Boy, that's a loaded question. I'd have to take 30 minutes probably to answer that, except to tell you real quickly, Victor, that there are so many things that affect our farmers out there listening to us, or our agricultural bankers who loan them the money, or people who sell them their clothes, or people who buy or sell them their food. I mean, farmers are not just tractor buyers. They buy everything. And so consequently, the effect of what happens back there on the bottom line of farmers makes a huge difference in Kansas, because agriculture is our biggest business. And so we got to be careful of what happens. They will do some things in Washington that could louse up a 2-car parade. I'm telling you, the farm bill, they're discussing a farm bill right now. Very few people in this part of the country are talking about it. I am, because it might make a lot of difference between a farmer going bankrupt or making it, because our prices have really declined. And so that's just one issue that's so hot right now, and they're discussing the farm bill, a new farm bill that could mean millions of dollars for the state of Kansas, not just to the farmer, but even to KPTS, because somebody will have more money to donate here.
Well, let's hope so, because we need it.
I know you do. I know you do.
But listening to you, it brings to mind the question, have you thought about politics in your life?
Oh.
Yes?
I've had so many people that wanted me involved in that for the last 30 years, Victor. I almost stepped into it one time. But you know, as I watched them even years ago, and it's worse now than it ever was, it's terrible to say this, but that's a job that screws up more things than it makes right. And I don't think I would enjoy that.
Well, you could help fix them.
Well, maybe. I tell you what, you hear that in campaigns about how one person can do a lot of things. They never get it done, Victor, because there's a whole bunch of other folks back there that have some say-so too.
Right.
It's not just a one-voice outfit.
Right. Okay, let's do something that I enjoy doing on this program.
What's that?
It's a game.
A game?
Yes.
Ready.
Are you up for it?
Try.
Okay. I will call this a lightning round of quick answers. And I will ask you a question, and you answer the question and say why.
Okay.
All right. Larry, what's your favorite food?
Ribeye steak,
Why?
because it's the best for your health.
Favorite drink?
Chocolate milk, because it's good for your body.
Oh. Favorite music?
Country music. I'd have to put a tagline on that. Not the new screaming country music, but good country music.
Like what?
Oh, Alabama, Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard, some of those kind of folks.
Your favorite crop to grow?
Wheat,
Why?
because it matches my program of living today. In other words, I can plant it 1st of October. I can leave and go to Florida when I want to, and I don't really need to come back till June of the next year to harvest it.
Are you more of a singer or a dancer?
Singer.
You want to tell us what songs you enjoy singing?
Oh, me singing? No way.
You just said you're a singer.
Well, if I did either one of those, singer would be better. But it would be a country music song probably that I would know. But Boy, I'll tell you what, if you wanted to run off an audience, you'd have me start.
Well, let's try that.
No, I'm not going to do it.
What was better about life, say, 50 years ago for you?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No. The best life I've got is right today.
So what was worse about it?
Well, of course, no money.
No money.
You know, money is a cause of a lot of evil, but yet it still buys a new car or a new boat. And there's a country song like that. But I'm so happy that I had to work hard for my money because I enjoy spending it more. So
There's a song like that too. I work hard for my money.
that's right. That's right.
Now, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you like to be?
Boy, I'm just changed my mind on that particular question in the last 2 or 3 years. Crepe myrtle. Why? Because when it's 105 degrees outside, they're blooming beautiful. So I'm with a crepe myrtle right now.
So you bloom beautifully despite
The weather.
the weather.
Correct.
That's good to know. What about an animal? If you were an animal, what would you like to be?
If I was an animal,
Uh-huh.
oh, I'd like to be a show bull. A bull that they show at shows around the country. Boy, you get washed, you get scratched, you get brushed, you get trimmed, you get taken care of like a doll baby. That would feel pretty good.
You like to be taken care of.
Correct.
So finally, what's next for Larry Steckline?
You know, I don't know. Rest and enjoyment. Enjoyment. Whatever I can figure out to enjoy my and my wife's life and my kids' life.
What do you enjoy doing now?
Oh, I like being with the kids on the lake, in a boat, or dinner with all the kids and grandkids. That's number one. Number two comes way down the line. But I do like boating. I come from a place in western Kansas where we didn't have any water, hardly. So now I don't have any house that's not on the water, and I own several boats. I love the water. But I like people with me on the water that are primarily family.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victor.
It's
Nice
a pleasure
to be here.
having you.
Same here. Thank you.
And we thank you for watching this week's edition of One on One. If you have a question or comment about the show, feel free to email us at oneonone@kpts.org. We love hearing from you. Be well, and we'll see you next time. I'm Victor Hogstrom. Thanks for watching.
The Alvin and Rosalie Sarachek Trust, supporting arts, history, science, and this program on KPTS.
The preceding program was brought to you by TZ Productions, offering 40 years of media experience.